I'm doing 3 events at the festival this year. The first was I did yesterday was an introduction to the new book of poems, this discussion of the new book of poems. It's kind of like the launch. It's the first time I've read from it, the actual copy in my hand, and also the new novel. Today I'm here to talk with 2 experts in the field about Milosz, but my main input to that, I hope, will be his influence on English language poetry and why someone like him, why he is, for example, for me very important. I don't know a word of Polish. I can't appreciate the sound or the form of his work really, and yet he has a kind of pervasive influence on English language poetry since he was working. So I'm kind of curious about what people will say about that. The new collection is called Black Cat Bone, and a black cat bone was something that you got from a kind of voodoo priestess, and they extracted this bone. I'm afraid they extracted from a live cat, so it sounds rather horrible. But if you got the right bone, because there's lots of bones in the cat, you have to get the right one. You're gifted with invisibility, sexual power over the opposite sex, and money. So you can imagine a lot of guys wanting to get this. And in the old blues songs, sometimes the guy will boast that he's got a black cat bone. It means he's irresistible and rich. Usually bluesmen weren't very rich, but often the song will turn that on its head, and the woman will say that she's got the black cat bone, in which case the man's lost all of that power to the woman. And the book's really about a kind of play between the idea of romance, in the kind of simple form that we have, kind of boy meets girl, happy ever after, and all the kind of darker side of relationships and kind of institutionalization of our emotions and our passions in marriage, and hopefully raising some questions about that. I would recommend most Per Petterson, a Norwegian writer, who I think is one of the best writers in Europe today. He's on next week. I could have recommended somebody who was on yesterday, Adam Zagajewski, but I didn't even get to see his event because I was in the book tent and I didn't get away. But Per Petterson, most of all, I think. I would also say in poetry, David Harsent. But then I'm not going to see him either because I've got to go to France when he's on, so terrible. But those 2 in particular. Obviously, I could say others. I could say Robert Robertson, but he's my editor, so I just sound biased, wouldn't it? I'm doing a lot of reading for research. I'm particularly reading books about the late 60s and 70s, the Weather Underground movement, because that's the research I'm doing for the book that's after the book I'm writing now. I've been reading a lot of David Gilbert's book, No Surrender, which is a fantastic book full of really incredible analysis of everything to do, from racism to AIDS, questions around AIDS. Why is Africa still hungry? I mean, if you want some of the answers, look at David Gilbert's book. I mean, just in the reviews he's written. So he's really important. And I'm reading other people's, some memoirs. Kathy Wilkerson's book about that period, Flying Close to the Sun. Other memoirs, and a wonderful book called Outlaws in America. Outlaws of America, I think it is actually, which is a really good account of that whole period, the SDS, Black Panther, Weather Underground. It's not kind of TV, cultural, social history. It's really real. The guy went out and met the real people who actually were there and talked to them. I mean, some of those histories that you read, I mean, I wasn't there, but I just feel something's inauthentic here. But Dan Berger, who wrote this book, wrote a fantastic book.